AI never sleeps, and this week has been absolutely insane. We have a new open source video generator which is multimodal, so in addition to just text prompts, you can also feed it reference images or videos as inputs. This AI can create 3D renders from any video, so you can view the scene from any angle or even freeze the video at any frame for a bullet time effect like this. We have a new open source video generator which has audio built in, so it's exactly like Veo or Sora, but you can run this locally on your computer and it's insanely fast. We have a new open source tutoring agent. This can proactively help you learn and give you personalized practice questions and exercises. We have a new video face swapper, which is state of the art. This system allows AI agents to have long-term memory without stuffing their context. It's faster and even more accurate than other methods. This AI can estimate the depth of an image, but get this, it can even do so at 8K or 16K resolution. We have some ridiculous humanoid robot demos and a lot more, so let's jump right in. First up, this AI is pretty useful. It's called DreamID V, and this can basically swap faces in videos. So here's one example where here's the original video and here's the reference face, and you can basically swap her face like this. Or here's another example. As you can see, it's also able to capture all the facial movements, including like when she blinks her eyes or also the lip sync and her expressions pretty accurately. Here's another example. And it doesn't have to just work with realistic photos. You can even do this with like a 3D animation like this. Or here's another example. And this doesn't just have to work with horizontal videos. So here are some vertical videos in different aspect ratios for your reference. Anyways, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo. And if you scroll down a bit, here they've already released the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. Note that this uses WAN 2.1, which requires like a minimum of 8 GB of VRAM to run on your computer, with some offloading. And the nice thing is, it seems like this has already been integrated into Comfy UI as well. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, the team at Kling releases a really powerful model. It's called UniVideo, and this is a multimodal unified model that can generate and edit videos however you want. So here are some examples. You can add reference photos of different characters and prompt them to be in the same video like this. So you can easily transfer, someone over to a video from just one photo. Here's another example where you can add Sam Altman plus this Pikachu plus this ice cream, and with this text prompt, here is what you get. Now, the quality isn't great, but as you can see, it's actually really good at transferring characters and other reference objects into your video. Here's another example where you can upload multiple photos of a character at different views to give it more data, and it's able to generate a very consistent video of Wukong walking down this supermarket. Or here's another example with this Tesla Cybertruck, and another example with this Lego tank. The really cool thing is you can add instructions directly in your reference image. So this is just one input image with these three things plus some instructions. And indeed, it makes the bomb explode in the background, plus the car moving, plus the gorilla on top of the car. Or here's another example where, again, this is just one photo, but you can add text instructions, and this time it's in this sequence. So first we have a dynamic low tracking shot, followed by a car bursting from some explosion, and then we have a tunnel opening into a coastal city, and the car speeds ahead. And here's what you get. Or here's another really cool example where we can have this scene first, and then it tilts up to show the monkey climbing on top of the rope, and then this helicopter, and that's what it generates. Here's another example where we can just add instructions all over this image, and it's able to understand and generate most of it pretty well. Now, in addition to feeding it reference images, you can also feed it a reference video, as you can see over here, and prompt it to replace, for example, this guitar with the fish. And here's what you get. Or here's another example where we can prompt it to replace Spider-Man in the original video with Superman. Or here's another example where we can easily do character swap. Or we can choose to make this girl wear this cap. Or make this girl hold this plushie. Now, you don't even have to input any reference photos. You can just prompt it on what you want to edit. If you wanted to add a huge fire in the background, here's what you get. Or you can change the outfit of this character, or you can turn the scene into autumn like this. The awesome thing is, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they've already released a GitHub repo, and if you click into it and you scroll down a bit, here it contains all the instructions on how you can download and run this locally on your computer. Here they don't explicitly mention the VRAM requirements. You do need a CUDA GPU, but it seems like if you click on the Hugging Face repo, the total size of this is like 95 gigabytes, so I don't think anyone can run this locally right now. For example, if I click into this, notice that the multimodal model is like 42 gigabytes, and then this model is 27 gigabytes. However, because this is open source, hopefully there will be more quantized or compressed versions of this in the future that can run on just a consumer GPU. Anyways, all the links are up here, so if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, this project is super interesting and it's actually gotten a ton of stars on GitHub. So it's called SimpleMem, and this is basically a smarter memory system for AI agents that lets them remember stuff long term without stuffing huge amounts of text back into the model. So here's why it matters. Current AI memory systems either forget too much or they waste a ton of tokens by reloading lots of old stuff into your context. But SimpleMem is able to keep the memory small, but also increase the accuracy and make retrieval way faster. So here's how it works. It basically works in 3 simple steps. Step 1 is it compresses the meaning. In other words, it turns your conversation into like cleaner facts and it removes noises. It normalizes everything. It basically keeps the meaning intact but makes it much shorter. And then it moves on to this stage 2 called structured indexing, which basically organizes memory more efficiently. These facts are like indexed in multiple ways, such as semantic meaning or keywords or metadata, so that the right info is easy to find when you need it. And then finally, stage 3 is adaptive retrieval, and this basically means it will only retrieve what's needed. When a question is asked, SimpleMem would kind of analyze it and take out just what it needs from its memory, not everything. And because of this, it makes it way more efficient. So here's a comparison between SimpleMem and this other baseline approach. And as you can see, SimpleMem is just way higher in terms of accuracy, plus it takes way fewer tokens, plus it's also faster at retrieving information. Here's another chart for a reference comparing all these agents with memory, and as you can see here, SimpleMem takes the fewest amount of tokens, but it's also the most performant. Here are some other quantitative comparisons between SimpleMem and other memory systems, and as you can see, SimpleMem runs the fastest, plus it's the highest quality. So to summarize everything, SimpleMem is basically this framework that helps AI agents remember better by storing fewer, smarter memories, and it only recalls what it actually needs. The awesome thing is they've released everything already. So if you click on this GitHub repo and you scroll down a bit, here it contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. Plus they also give you the code to run your own benchmark tests and also reproduce the paper results. Anyways, the link is up here, so if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, we have another very useful AI called DreamStyle. This is an AI that takes an existing video and can change the style of it. So here are some of their examples. You can turn a video into like Lego style or line art or anime or pixel style, or turn them into clay like this, or like even traditional Chinese painting style, etc., etc. So here's an example where the input video is on the upper left corner, and if you prompt it to turn this into this origami style, here's a comparison between the other main closed source models out there, including Luma, Pixverse, and Runway, and then here we have DreamStyle. And as you can see, DreamStyle actually did this the best. It was also able to convert the background of flowers and grass into origami as well. Or here's another example where the prompt is to turn this original video on the left into a colored pencil illustration. And for the other competitors, Luma, Pixverse, and Runway, they don't really look like, a colored pencil illustration. DreamStyle was the only one that actually looks like the prompt. Now, instead of just entering a text prompt, you can upload a reference image to dictate your style as well. So the input video is on the bottom left of the sea turtle, and if you input this low poly image, it's able to transfer the style over very well. Or here's another example where we can input this reference image of a Minecraft scene and turn this original input video into Minecraft like this. Here's another comparison with like Vase and Video X Fun, which I've gone over on my channel before, and this new one, DreamStyle, just handles this style transfer a lot better. Now, instead of just using a prompt or a reference image, you can actually do both at the same time. So here, if we upload this pixel image, plus if we prompt it to generate watercolor style, it can do both. So it turned this video into a pixelated watercolor style. Or here's another similar example where we can input this Lego reference image plus prompt it to generate metal style, and here's what we get. Here's another cool example where we can convert this into like this 3D Pixar style, but also if you prompt it low poly, it also adds this into the result. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo to this, and for right now, they've released a technical report, but on their to-do list, they are planning to release the inference code and the models as well as the training code to this, which is fantastic. Anyways, for now, if you're interested in reading further or checking out more examples, I'll link to this main project page in the description below. Next up, this AI is super useful. I've been actually waiting for something open source like this for a while now. You see, the problem with using regular chatbots like ChatGPT to learn something is that yes, it's really good at answering your questions, but that's all it really does. It doesn't proactively teach me further stuff unless I ask it further questions. But here we have this new open source AI agent called DeepTutor, which can actually help me learn more complex topics and proactively teaches me further. So it's called DeepTutor. This is basically an AI tutor agent. And here's what it does. You can upload all your textbooks, papers, lecture notes, documents, whatever, and it's able to understand your materials and answer your questions about it with direct citations. It's also able to explain things visually, so it can break down hard concepts step by step using diagrams or interactive pages or simplified explanations. It can also help you practice by generating quizzes or exercises tailored to your skill level. And then finally, this also supports deep research, so it can also not only search across your documents, but also the web and other papers to find and synthesize information and generate new ideas. So here you can see you can upload your documents into its knowledge base and then ask it questions, and it's able to answer directly from that knowledge base. Here, as you can see, they also have this question generator tab where you can generate practice questions or exercises based on your knowledge base. And then here, it can also do deep research like this. So you can think of this as kind of like Notebook LM, but it's open source. The awesome thing is they've released everything already. So here are all the instructions on how you can download this and set this up on your computer. The documentation is very thorough. It teaches you how to use all these different modules for whatever your use case. Everything is on this page, so if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this in the description below. Next up, this AI is also very powerful. It's called NeoVerse, and this can basically create 4D world models. Now, what exactly is that? It's basically a 3D video, so the fourth dimension is time. Here are some examples. You can take an input image, and the AI basically creates a Gaussian splat of this model. It's basically like a 3D estimation of the scene, and then afterwards, it can generate a video which you can interact with. So you can like press the arrow keys to move around this room. Or here's another example where, again, we can take this image and it would first generate this 3D Gaussian splat of the scene, and then from it, it can generate a video of the scene where you can move around. Now, because this can create 4D scenes, that means you can input a video and have it estimate the entire scene in 3D as the video plays out, and then afterwards you can control the camera to wherever you want. So for example, you can get it to pan up left, right, or rotate or tilt or do whatever. You can basically change the camera perspective and movement of an existing video. And then here's another example where you can generate bullet time videos like this, where you can like freeze a video at any particular frame, and because it has generated this in 3D, you can then like move the scene around in 3D and generate this bullet time effect. And the result is actually very coherent. And that's not all it can do. This also has like inherent video editing abilities. So for example, you can change this white car to red, or you can change this kettle to glass like this. Here's an even crazier example where we can take just one video of a dash cam and plug it through this AI to generate 4 new views from the sides. Now, at least for me, I wouldn't really trust these novel view videos when I'm driving. I mean, I'm not sure how accurate these videos are, but this is a potentially useful application for this AI. The awesome thing is this AI is actually very fast, so you can actually generate results in less than 30 seconds, at least on a single A800 GPU. Anyways, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, but there's no indication whether they will open source this or not. For now, if you're interested, you can check out this technical paper plus more demos on this page, which I'll link to in the description below. On my channel, I featured so many different AI models and tools, it can be very overwhelming. What if you can use all of these models all in one platform? And that brings us to ChatLLM by Abacus AI, the sponsor of this video. ChatLLM is an all-in-one platform for you to use the best AI models out there. You can seamlessly switch between different models in your chats. Plus, you can also use all the top image generators out there, as well as the top video models out there, all in one integrated platform. And they're usually very quick to add a model to their site once it comes out. Plus, if you're coding something, they have a really useful artifacts feature so that you can preview your generation side by side. Plus, they have a deep agent feature which can do some really complex tasks all autonomously, like creating PowerPoints, websites, and research reports. It's gonna supercharge your productivity. Best of all, you can access all of these AI models and image and video generators and Deep Agent for only $10 a month. This is way cheaper than if you paid for each tool separately. Definitely check out ChatLLM that comes with Deep Agent in the description below. In humanoid robot news, we have a new demo from Unitree. This time, they trained it to do a super impressive flying kick like this. And note that the kick is even high enough to reach this guy's face. But it doesn't stop there. Here's another demo of it doing a devastating spin kick which absolutely obliterated this watermelon. Here it's even able to kick these punch bags that are like 60 kilograms in weight. I mean, it's really hard to make such heavy punch bags move so much. Like, this kick has got to have some serious power. Note that this is the Unitree's flagship H2 robot, not the cute G1 robot which you've probably seen in a ton of viral videos online. This new H2 robot is a lot taller at 180 centimeters and weighs 70 kilograms, plus they even gave it quite a creepy looking face. Now, while the previous demo showed it dancing very naturally and fluidly, here they showed that it's also capable of very powerful moves like this. You definitely don't want to pick a fight with this guy. Now, in addition to flying kicks and destroying watermelons, we have another equally impressive demo, this time from the Boston Dynamics Atlas. While it's not extremely acrobatic like the Unitree robot, this one has extreme flexibility. It has pretty much a 360-degree range of motion for both the head, the torso, and the arms and legs. This means that any part of its body can face one direction or another, which, if you think about it, is actually quite useful and convenient. For example, if it's picking up an object and needs to place it somewhere behind itself, it doesn't have to completely turn its body with its feet to face the other direction like a human. This robot can just rotate its torso or its arms to place the item behind it. You know, for all the other humanoid robots like the Unitree or Optimus, they're basically designed to look and function like a human. It walks on 2 legs, it's forward-facing, and it has 2 arms with hands. But if you think about it, there's no real reason for robot design to be limited to just the human form. Instead of being forward-facing, why not design a robot that can have its torso and all its limbs rotate in any direction it wants? So this design from the Boston Dynamics Atlas shows how a robot can be designed beyond just humanoid constraints to become even more efficient or powerful. All right, next up, this AI is pretty interesting. It's called Morph Any 3D, and this can basically create smooth morphs or transitions between two different 3D objects, even if they belong to very different categories. So here's a simple one. For example, for the input, we can have Ivysaur, and for the results, we can have Venusaur, and this AI would basically generate the transitions or the morphs between the input and the output, as you can see here. Or here's another example where we can plug in one Pokemon and have it transition into a completely different Pokemon like this. It would still work. Here's another example where we have two completely unrelated Pokemon, but you can still plug it through this AI to generate a smooth transition from one Pokemon to the other. Now, instead of Pokemon, here are some other examples with other characters, and again, the transition is quite seamless. Even if the two characters are completely unrelated, it can still generate these smooth transformations. Or here's another example where we can transform this station into this castle, or even this horse into a ship. Now, normally, this is actually very hard to do because objects can be very different in shape or structure. It's really hard to keep the morph semantically consistent so it looks natural, and it's hard to make the sequence smooth over time. But Morph Any 3D is able to solve this without training a separate model. Now, we have had some other similar tools in the past, but as you can see here, Morph Any 3D, which is on the bottom right, is by far the most consistent and accurate in generating these 3D transitions. Now, here's how it works. Here's the architecture, and it consists of a few key components like this morphing cross attention, which basically mixes features of both the source and the target shapes in the attention layers of the 3D generator to maintain a coherent structure. And then it also has this temporal fusion self-attention block, which uses information from the previous frames to make the transition smoother over time. And then finally, it has this orientation correction, which basically aligns the pose and orientation of both objects so that they remain consistent across the transition. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, and here it says the code will be released after the paper is accepted. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, this AI is also very useful. It's called GaMo, which stands for Geometry Aware Multi-View Diffusion Outpainting, and this basically can create 3D models of a scene based on a limited number of photos. For example, you can input these photos of a room and then plug it through GaMo, and here is what you get. Now, if you compare this with another competitor called 3DGS, then as you can see, it's like missing parts of the ceiling. The quality isn't as nice and defined as GaMo. Or here's another example where we can input all these photos. And again, if you compare this with 3DGS, the quality is just not as good as this new GaMo model. Here's another example for your reference. You can see that for 3DGS, it's like missing parts of the ceiling and the floor, but for GaMo, it's able to fill in the blanks and actually generate a complete render of the room. The awesome thing is you can also use this to outpaint, or basically expand your field of view of a 3D scene. Now, what I'm showing you right now is from another competitor called MV Master, but if you compare it with this new GaMo, notice that it's a bit more consistent. Here's another example. The difference is quite subtle, but GaMo is more consistent and aligned compared to the competitor. Especially in this example, you can see that for MV Master, the generation is pretty bad quality, but GaMo is able to generate this a lot smoother. Here are some examples of outdoor scenes, and again, for 3DGS, you can see that it fails to fill in the blanks for some of the details in the background, which it just renders black, but for GaMo, it's also able to fill in these details. Anyways, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, and if you click into it, it looks like they've already released the code to this. So here's how you can install this and run it locally on your computer. Plus, they've also added the code for you to prepare your own dataset and train it. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, this AI is super powerful. It's called InfiniDepth, and here's what it does. Not only can this AI predict the depth of anything in an image, but you can also zoom into any resolution you want, even like 8K or 16K, and it would generate that depth map with much finer details. So for example, here is the original image, and here's the depth that it has predicted, but as you can see, even if I zoom into particular stuff like the wires over here, it's able to generate the depth of this in very high resolution. Same with this foosball table over here. Not only can it predict depth maps, but it can also generate a 3D point cloud given any photo. So here's a reference photo, and here's the 3D point cloud. Or here's another example. If this is your input image, here is the 3D point cloud. Now, because it's just given one image, it doesn't really have data on the stuff that's not visible from the image. So you can see like the details of the monitors plus the back of the desk are missing. So this point cloud feature that it has isn't that great. But here's another really awesome feature that it has called novel view synthesis. So here, if you plug in a photo like this, it can also turn it into a 3D scene like this, where you can kind of walk around it or even zoom in and out or view it from above like this. Or here's another example where we can take this busy scene with a lot of cars, with a lot of traffic, and it can generate a 3D scene which you can move around. But honestly, I think the depth map feature is the most impressive because this can do like up to 16K in resolution, whereas all the other competitor depth estimator tools fail to generate this quality. So for example, here's a comparison between this new method, InfiniDepth, with other methods like Marigold or Moji2, which I featured on my channel before. And as you can see, this one is just a lot more detailed and higher resolution. Here are some other examples for your reference. And as you can see, this one can go up to like 8K or even 16K, so it's a lot sharper than the other depth estimators. In terms of novel view synthesis, this is also a lot smoother and more coherent compared to other methods like Sharp from Apple, which has recently gotten a lot of attention. This is another model that can turn a photo into a 3D scene in seconds, but as you can see, the quality is actually pretty bad. There's a lot of holes and gaps everywhere, but for this InfiniDepth one, the road and the details are a lot more coherent. Here's another example for your reference. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, and here it says they are committed to making this open source. And this includes not only releasing the models and the inference code, but also the code on how you can train and evaluate this yourself, which is awesome. Anyways, for now, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, we have a new top open source video generator, and this does it all. It's called LTX-2, and this can do high resolution videos with audio natively built in. Plus, it can do up to 20 seconds of video, and it still remains consistent. The best thing about it is it's really damn fast, even on just a consumer GPU. This also works well even if you're using normal RAM. Now, I already did a full installation tutorial on it this week, so I'm not going to repeat too much here. However, here are some additional updates since that video. So a few days afterwards, this goat called Kijai has released some GGUFs, which are much smaller in size. For example, the distilled Q4 one is only 12.7 gigabytes. Previously, for like the FP8 versions, these only work well with NVIDIA CUDA GPUs, but now with these GGUFs, these are more optimized to run on AMD devices or CPU. In addition to these GGUFs, we also have a much easier platform for you to install and run LTX-2 if you're sick of using Comfy UI and sick of using all these nodes and noodles. I know a lot of people are running into a ton of different errors trying to set this up on Comfy UI. So if you can't get this to work, then here's a much simpler platform to use LTX-2 called WAN2GP. You can see here that for their latest update, they've already integrated LTX-2 on their platform, and you can run this with as low as 10 gigabytes of VRAM. Plus, this supports start and end keyframes, and you can also upload an audio track for it to use as the audio for the generation. Anyways, if you're interested, I will link to both this repo with the GGUFs plus this WAN2GP page in the description below so you can check it out. Next up, the team from Kling has unveiled another really awesome model that can generate images and videos, but also edit existing images and videos. So this is a very flexible tool. Here are some examples. So here's the prompt and here's the image. Here's another prompt and here's the image. The skin kind of looks plasticky, so it's not like up to par with the best open source image models out there. But that being said, this is way more capable than just generating images with text prompts. So here's what else it can do. In addition to generating images, it can also generate videos. So here's a man in an antique scuba helmet walking out of a colorful flower bed, and here is what we get. Or here's a dynamic high-speed train speeding out a bustling train station, and here's the result. Or here's a gray cat standing on an office table waving one of its legs in the air, and here's our result. Now, the quality of these generations aren't great, but again, this is not meant to be state-of-the-art. This is meant to be a model with a ton of capabilities built in. Here's the more impressive part. This can also function as a video editor. So this can take in a text prompt plus a reference image, and you can generate a video from it like this. It's kind of like Nano Banana for video. Here's another example where you can get messy to cut fruit in a kitchen like this. Or here's another example where we can get Jessica Alba to talk in an office like this. Now you can even input multiple reference images like this. For example, we can get this character to wear this shirt. Or here's another example. Here we have Sam Altman wearing this vest and doing a stretch indoors. Here's an example of 3 different reference images, and it's able to combine all of them in this video like this. Or here's another example. Now, instead of reference to video, this can also edit images just like Nano Banana. For example, we can add a small dark rowboat to the scene like this. Or change the guy's suit into deep emerald silk like this. Or we can outpaint this image like this. Or change this car to lime green. So, this can also function like an image editor, just like Nano Banana, where you can edit images with natural language. But it can also do the same for video. You can input a reference video and get it to change the style like this. Or we can change this into like this claymation style, and here's what we get. Or we can also change this person's tank top to a black dress with a zipper like this. Or we can also prompt it to change her earrings into this. So it's essentially a Nano Banana for video. Or we can turn this into Ghibli style. Or prompt it to change their outfits from red to blue. Now you can take all 3 different types of media, a text prompt, an image, and a video, and combine them together like this. Or here's another example where we can prompt it to add this character on the field like this. So this is a very flexible multimodal model that's able to handle different types of media and edit images and video, all with the same unified model. Here you can even take a reference video and just get it to copy the camera motion onto a new video. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, and here it says the code and weights will be released soon. Stay tuned. For now, if you're interested in reading further or checking out more demos, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, Tencent Hunyuan releases another super powerful model called HYMT. This is an open source translation model, and it features 2 main versions. There's a 1.8 billion parameter one, which is smaller, so it's more efficient, but it runs faster. And then we have a 7 billion parameter one, and this one is a bit larger, but higher in quality. But both of them are still pretty tiny. Like, these are designed to be fast and accurate, and you can even run these on like consumer GPUs or edge devices. Here's its accuracy compared to a ton of different other translators like Google Translate or Baidu Translate, Doubao Translate, Microsoft, Qwen, DeepSeek, or even Gemini 3 Pro, which is like hundreds of times larger. But you can see that Hunyuan MT 1.8, which is the blue bar on the left, and then the 7 billion parameter, which is the orange bar on the far right. I'm not sure why they chose to put these separately on the left and right sides. But anyways, you can see that it performs just as good as the state-of-the-art models, and in some cases, it even beats Gemini 3 Pro, which is insane for such a tiny open source model. It currently supports 33 languages, as you can see from this list over here, including several ethnic and dialect variants. The awesome thing is everything is open sourced already, so here are the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. The small model of 1.8 billion parameters can even run on edge devices with around only 1 gigabyte of memory and deliver real-time translation. So this is super useful if you're looking for a fast translation model that can run offline in real time. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, all the info is on this page, which I'll link to in the description below. Also this week, we have a new update from Google. They're starting to introduce some new AI features into Gmail. So you should be able to see this AI inbox button on your Gmail dashboard, and this basically allows you to use AI to summarize your inbox and get the most important insights. It also has this help me write button where you can just prompt it to write out the email for you. Or you can also select any line of text and get it to rewrite it further based on a specific tone or whatever you want. It's also able to detect if something needs to be scheduled on your calendar, and it would add a button for you to actually add it to your calendar. Note that these features are currently only rolling out in English to users in the US, as well as to Pro and Ultra subscribers, but they are planning to expand these features to the rest of the world later this year. And that sums up all the highlights in AI this week. Let me know in the comments what you think of all of this. Which piece of news was your favorite, and which tool are you most looking forward to trying out? As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.